Okay, now for a tutorial of another kind. Still on the form of survival, but beer. Okay, the quickest, easiest, pretty close to the cheapest. I know my brother does it cheaper, but you get what you pay for. Beer. So, mise en place. I have 2 no name real ale cans. I choose to go for 2 cans instead of 1 can and the sugar. For obvious reasons, it's better. I have been soaking my barrel in sanitizer in the lid. Good stir. Make sure you pour a bit out the tap. And as I empty it, pardon the dishes in the background and dinner prep for later. But the most important part, sanitization. Okay. Second most important part, make sure the tap's turned off. All I do is pot, hot water, put these puppies in it to soften up the leaven, the malt, etc. And in she goes. Try not to lose any because that is like black gold, Texas tea. And it's a little bit hot, so be careful. They have just been boiling. Alright, and then all I do is get some hot water flowing. Run that hot water down the lid into the can. Give that can a big stir. And in she goes. Okay, if you get the 2 going like that, this is how we are going to fill our barrel with beautiful Petone artesian bore water. Even better than Vichy in France, or so they say. Okay, so I'm just making sure I don't leave any of that malt behind. And so far it's still hot water, but pretty soon, after this one, I'm going to want to change that to cold water. Otherwise, our final temperature will be too high. So I'll get this out of our way. Lovely. Then, because all of that really thick, goopy leaven is at the bottom, I try not to use a spoon. I know you can sanitize them, but to be honest, that's a shitload quicker and easier. So now, I'm going to switch it down to cold water, still using my 2 cans, anything 1 can, 2 can better. And I'm just going to top this puppy up with water. As you can see, very difficult recipe. So I've chosen the real ale because it is starting to get a little bit more wintry here. So the draft was too many drafts, and I do have a backyard full of them. Again, so I add a few more litres, so that's probably about 4 or 5 more litres. Give it a good stir. You'll just malt. Sorry, just stirring up a bit. The one thing you do really want to try at this stage is try not to add too much more bubble action. Okay, so I managed to get in before the brew shop shut, and I went hardcore on some completely random hops. I chose the highest alpha I could possibly get. We could talk about what that means, but that's another lesson altogether. You don't need extra hops, but in this day and age, I think you do, really. So I'm aiming for about 24 litres. When adding hops, I have tried a few different methods. I've done full grain brewing, all of that sort of jazz. This is the quickest, easiest one, and it still gives a pretty good product. With the hops, I've tried making a tea bag and then steeping it in water for 10 minutes, then removing the hops. Some people say that it's like leaving a tea bag in your teacup. If you leave the hops in, it can make it go bitter and lose the good notes. So I've done that. It was pretty good. I've also tried putting the hops in a bag in the barrel. One last really good stir. To be honest, the yeast is going to find the sugar if it wants to. We're looking down at about 28, 30 degrees, and we're just shy of 20 litres. So I think we're coming up to pretty good. You really do want it close to the 28, if not lower, before you pitch the yeast. Today I'm going for quick and easy, a little bit queasy. So the hops are just going to be pitched straight in to the barrel. Okay, so 21 litres. And this one should take me above 24, so it is quite full. It's probably over the recommendations, but that's what they are, recommendations. Oh yeah, baby, like a beautiful cappuccino. Now what I like to still do, even though I don't utilise it too much during the brewing process, I still check the gravity. So the gravity is basically checking how much sugar-water ratio, or sugar liquid, carbs to liquid. And if you do take it at the beginning and at the end, you should be able to tell approximately how big a headache you're going to get. No, that's no telling. When it does froth up, you can see I just sort of rub it aside. And you do want to check right at the liquid level. So if I put that in, there's no way I can tell exactly where it's at because of all the foam. I could use my chef's trick with a lighter, pops all the bubbles, but I think the plastic might just break as well. Almost there. There we go. Okie dokie. So we're looking for the big numbers, and it is 1058. 1058. So that is the gravity. Remember that? 1058. I wouldn't put this back in because I don't know how sanitized this is. Won't taste like beer, but it will give you some idea of what the finished product will look like. So at this stage, my US Warrior, 15% alpha, like I say, go big or go home. And because I'm going to cold crash this at the end, I'm just going to chuck that hop straight in there. Any residue will, oh, beauty. Any burnt up residue from the hops will just end up at the bottom, crash to the bottom. And what good is beer without yeast? You need something to eat all that sugar, eh? So I am just using the Cooper's yeast that came with the packet. I do open both, depending how hot it is. If it's hot outside, or where you're keeping it, if you're keeping it in a nice controlled environment, I'd probably only add one. I've had a bit of a bubble up, but this is Wellington, southerly, so that's probably about 1.5 yeast. I'm going to put the lid on as quickly as possible to stop any more of my COVID getting in there. Put the bubbler on, find a nice place for it in the garage, wrap it in its blankie to keep the temperature as stable as possible, and I'll come back to see my baby in about a week. So I could stir that yeast in, but to be honest, by the time I've carried it out the back, it'll be all stirred in. You can see that bubbler airlock doesn't need to be very full. All I do is squeeze it on and push the sides, and if it bubbles, pretty safe. Bosh, done. What was that, 4 minutes? Maybe a little bit more. But survivalism at its best. Ka kite, kia kaha, keep safe. So you can see the residue at the top, means that the yeast has been doing its thing. And of course, the beautiful sound and smell those hops.